Thank you, Mr. President. In its Resolution 56-8, the Human Rights Council requested the Secretary General to prepare a synthesis report on opportunities, best practices, actionable solutions, challenges, and barriers relevant to just transition and the full realization of human rights for all people. This report arrives at a pivotal moment. Just 2 months ago, the International Court of Justice delivered its landmark advisory opinion affirming that states have binding obligations under international law, including international human rights law, to protect the climate system and environment. The court explicitly recognized that failure to protect the climate system from significant harm, including that caused by fossil fuel production and consumption, may constitute internationally wrongful acts. The advisory opinion reinforced the need for an equitable, just, and rapid transition grounded in human rights. The Secretary General's report describes just transition as transition towards environmentally sustainable economies and societies that are fair, equitable, and inclusive. It means creating decent work opportunities, reducing inequalities and poverty, as well as enhancing and upholding all human rights, including the right to development and the right to a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment. The report identifies key barriers in the way of a just transition, including conflicts over natural resources, especially critical energy transition minerals, and inadequate labor rights and social protection. Action is needed on multiple fronts. Today, our global energy system remains 80% powered by fossil fuels that are reproducing historical injustices. We must transition away from fossil fuels. We need to put an end to corporate impunity and regulatory gaps in human rights due diligence. We need to reverse the shrinking civic space. To effectively address such challenges, transition must be centered on human rights. The ICJ's advisory opinion reaffirms the central place of human rights law in climate action. Transitions need to be anchored in all human rights, including the rights to work, social security, participation, and access to information, and the rights of all those most at risk of being left behind. The right to a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment, which the ICJ recognized is a precondition for the enjoyment of other human rights and inherent in their realization, establishes both a foundation for rights-based transition pathways and a binding standard. The principles of common but differentiated responsibilities, equity, and polluter pays must guide international cooperation to ensure just transitions for all, everywhere. By 2030, implementing the Paris Agreement alone could create 18 million new jobs. Broader just transition policies could create around 100 million new jobs. We should ensure these are decent jobs with full labor rights. The report calls for transforming economic models towards measures of progress beyond GDP that value human development, equality, and sustainability. Universal social security systems are critical, guaranteeing income security throughout transitions while helping people respond to climate impacts. When designing equitably, clean energy transitions can reduce energy insecurity, deadly local air pollution, and environmental injustice, while creating community-led sustainable development pathways. As the ICJ clarified, it is scientifically possible to determine each state's contribution to global emissions, including historical emissions. This opens pathways for accountability and for ensuring that those most responsible take the lead in transitioning and supporting others. As the report emphasizes, debt restructuring and cancellation can free fiscal space for human rights budgeting that supports just transition. Technology transfer and co-development can enable fairly shared innovation. As we approach COP30 in Brazil, this report's findings are particularly salient. The Just Transition Work Program, established at COP27, already requires parties to respect, promote, and consider their human rights obligations. The report provides concrete guidance on how to operationalize these commitments, including as part of nationally determined contributions, national adaptation plans, long-term strategies, and just transition planning. The report calls for 1. Transitioning towards sustainable human rights economies that prioritize planetary and human well-being and establishing robust business accountability frameworks. 2. Ensuring decent work and universal social security for all people and workers, including those in informal economies, while investing in public services and green skills development. 3. Strengthening participatory governance by integrating human rights throughout transition policies, ensuring meaningful participation, and protecting civic space and environmental human rights defenders. And finally, 4, enabling globally just transitions through scaled-up grant-based financing, debt relief and cancellation, progressive taxation, and prevention of conflicts over transition resources. We stand at a crossroads. The best available science continues to demand urgent action to end the ongoing devastating impacts of the climate crisis on people's lives. This report provides a roadmap for transitions that remedy past harms, prevent future injustices, and uphold the rights of present and future generations. Within the challenge posed by the climate crisis lies also opportunity to build economies that value dignity and rights belonging to each person, to create millions of decent jobs, to advance equality, and to secure a livable planet for all now and in the future. I urge states and stakeholders to study this report's findings carefully, integrate its recommendations across policies, and to use this interactive dialogue to share commitments, best practices, and solutions towards transitions that advance human rights. Thank you.